I've been lucky enough to have traveled for much of my life. Short trips, long trips, cold weather, tropical, pretty much everything in between. And not just for attaché either. For speaking gigs all over the world, for consulting work, and every now and then, believe it or not, I actually go on vacation. And along the way, mainly through trial and error and the occasional crushing disappointment, I have established a packing philosophy? Mantra? Anyway, you guys have been asking for this one for a long time. How I pack. Not what I pack. We'll do that in a separate video. Anyway, here goes. I'm going to tell you this right off the bat. I try to avoid checking a bag at all costs. A couple of reasons for that. The first one is that means you get access to those airline basic fares. No seat selection, obviously no checked bag, but you still get to where you need to go, and you're going to save some money on those cheaper fares in the process. But more importantly, a checked bag is often a liability. It'll slow you down at the airport. You got to go to the check-in desks. You can't use the kiosk. You can't use just a straight mobile check-in. And at the other end, you got to go to baggage claim, wait forever for your bag to finally appear on the carousel. And if you have a tight connection, there is very often the risk that you'll make your next flight, but your bag won't. Or, even worse, vice versa. So I try to avoid checking a bag at all costs, and I really recommend that you do the same. I can hear you though. Alex, what if I'm going on a trip for more than a few days? I'm going to need a big check suitcase. Please, you are really not. Let me show you something. This is my carry-on of choice. It comes on almost every trip with me, long or short. It's the Carl Friedrich Carry-On Pro. I love this thing. Now, full disclosure, Carl Friedrich are a channel partner and they are helping me make this video. But, and it's a big but, I've been using this thing since way before we started working with them. It's one of the reasons they reached out in the first place. I recently did a 2-week trip through California and Mexico. Multiple airlines, multiple flights, multiple destinations. There was no way I was checking a bag. The Carry-On Pro and my backpack were all I needed. Let me show you why I love this bag and how I pack it. It's fair to say that my carry-on luggage takes a beating, and I have been let down by catastrophic structural failures at the least opportune moments. That said, I'm not a big fan of those bulky, metallic, bulletproof looking things you see people with at airports. They're heavy, they're inflexible, they're just unnecessary. That being said, I'm also not a fan of those all-material weekender bags you see immaculately dressed tech bros limping through airports with. No wheels, no frame, classic form over function. Which is why I eventually arrived at the Carl Friedrich. Polycarbonate shell, zipperless aluminum frame, the right balance of flexibility, weight, and strength. So how do I actually pack my carry-on? If you go on TikTok, you will see a deluge of packing tips, mainly made by people who have traveled once, in 2006, and have been making content about it ever since. Now, there are some great tips out there, but the vast majority of them range from the obvious to the criminally insane. Yes, you can stack your clothes vertically in your carry-on or fold every single outfit into some intricate origami creation. But then what? Your clothes are kind of stuck there. What are you gonna do? Unpack them into the drawers in your hotel room? No, only psychos do that. Here's what I do. I, like many of you guys, and like most of the flight crew I know, roll my clothes. It uses space efficiently and it stops your clothes getting too wrinkled. Organized by garment type and you're golden. Now if you need to bring another pair of shoes, they go at the bottom, mainly so the crud on the bottom of your shoes doesn't get on your clothes. And don't waste that space. Socks, underwear, other small items go in the shoes. And finally, any big bulky items that will take up too much space if they're rolled up, they go on top, flat as the last layer. If I'm going for a longer trip and I need to bring more clothes with me, like on my recent 2-week trip, I use these packing cubes. I like them because they just keep everything organized when you've got a lot of clothes on the go. I use the Carl Friedrich ones because they were designed specifically to fit on my carry-on, so why wouldn't I? Pro tip though, bring an empty packing cube with you that you can decant your dirty clothes into so they're not commingling inappropriately with your clean ones. Ethically ambiguous pro tip, You can use the laundry bags you often find in hotel rooms for the same purpose. Finally, don't bury anything you're going to need during your journey because you were panic packing. You don't want to be that person holding up the security line because you shoved your laptop in some dark crevasse of your carry-on while you were rushing out the door. Anything you're going to need during your journey, put it somewhere accessible. My carry-on has a dedicated external pocket for stuff like this. I put my laptop in it, put my iPad in it. It's hard shelled, so I don't need to worry about them. My toiletries have their own dedicated pocket in my backpack. I know exactly where they are when it comes to security. So there you have it. How I pack. Spellbinding. Now there's nothing revolutionary about what I just told you. It's just a lot of common sense with a sprinkle of experience, but it has served me well when I was doing 100 flights a year. But listen, if you've got a great packing tip that you want to share, leave it in the comments below. And if you want to follow a video on what I pack or any other travel tip video, let me know as well. And finally, if you click on the link below, you'll get 10% off all Carl Friedrich products at carlfriedrich.com.